Season of Discovery just dethroned the Burning Crusade and Wrath Classic, and I've got 4 more big stories for you, as well as exactly everything else that's going down in-game this week. So, let's roll. Season of Mastery has of course launched, sending WoW up to 536,000 peak viewers on Twitch, which historically is pretty damn high. WoW Classic peaked at 1.1 million, which was kind of insane. TBC peaked at 434k, while Wrath Classic peaked at 388. And that does mean that, at least per the metric of Twitch buzz, this has been a hell of a launch. And of course, if you're trying to get through a server queue, good luck. I mean, really, unlike any classic then hardcore, this is the one that offers a totally unique experience with loads of new shit to check out, so I can totally see this being actually real strong for the long-term future of World of Warcraft, and certainly this being a success. Well, if I was Blizzard, I'd be thinking about a more pure Classic Plus. As for me, I will hop on when the queues are not as insane, but of course that's not the only thing that's happened in WoW this week. The burning of Teldrassil sent WoW's lore into a very funny direction, Night Elves especially. Their old home in flames, Astronar wrecked, Darkshore reclaimed but essentially poisoned and destroyed. Well, fast forward to today and Blizzard have a new world tree. You could say perfect, just put the Night Elves in the new tree, job done. Just that tree, and Mirdrassil is on the Dragon Isles, and for many the prospect of the Night Elves leaving their ancient home is just kind of untenable. So, if you're Blizzard, how do you both do the story that you had planned and also keep the players happy? And it turns out, you do what they've actually done. So, Belemeth is the new Night Elf capital city. It's located around the trunk of Mirdrassil, which has now bloomed out of the dream and is its own zone beside the Onaran Plains. We've got loads of nods to the past there, loads of old NPCs showing up, and more importantly, some actual connections. So, Belemeth Harbour is reminiscent of Teldrassil's harbour, of course. Hopefully, these boats will have some working connections soon, but explore around and you'll see portals. The first one is to Feathermoon Stronghold down in Farolas. And if you take that portal, well, Feathermoon Stronghold has got a portal back to Belemeth. Then as we move into Belemeth proper, we actually see a portal hub. It's got links to Stormwind, to Darkshore, to Hyjal as well. And what that basically means is, yes, this is the new Night Elf capital, but canonically, all of those old Night Elf holdings that we very much care about and have big memories of when we were younger, those are still active parts of Night Elf culture. They have direct links to the capital, which is great. Now, personally, I'd obviously love to see some content around maybe rebuilding Astronar, maybe, cleaning up Darkshore, something like that. So, who knows? But at the very least, this is a pretty awesome first step. Now, Belemeth is also the first link in the second floor of Stormwind's newly expanded portal room, and heading back into the city itself, you do see that it is quite quaint compared to Darnassus, but it is rather lovely looking, lots of cool looking NPCs, many different references there, and tantalizingly, this may not be the end of things. In the development notes, Blizzard said the construction is still underway. Now, I presume they mean underway over the PTR because they're still building the thing, but also it could allude to some grander plans for the Night Elves. Now, along with this, a bunch of Night Elf cosmetics have also been data mined. There are some that are on a vendor in Belemeth that look pretty neat, and also all of these really cool weapons, back pieces, and that kind of thing. So honestly, for me, so far, so good. I think of all the ways that they could have done this, that evolved, Mirdrassil being where it is, and that being the Night Elf capital, this is pretty much the best way that they could have done it, because Kalimdor is absolutely still core to what Night Elves are doing. And of course, on top of this, we've got the whole Gilneas reclamation that's also going down in 10.2.5. And before we get to the de-shadowlandsing of classes, I do actually have a favor to ask. Last month, we launched our new home at bellular.ghost.io, and it would mean the world to me and the team if you checked it out. Over there, our members get early access to content like this episode that actually went live on Friday, whenever John finished the edit, as well as our exclusive lore deep dive articles, our 5-day-a-week newsletter called Loading Screen, and of course, our members are also hanging out with me and the team over on the Members Lounge Discord server. And big picture, I'm trying to build the future of what we're doing here and to be able to fund the best content that is possible. Think big, ambitious new lore series and us really stepping up our game hardcore as we head into the war within. So, bellular.ghost.io, and just because I found the button, I've decided to just turn on the 1 week free trial thing for a bit, so you can check it out. Let's see how that goes. Next then, some de-Shadowlandsing. Yeah, so Shadowlands actually did give us some pretty damn cool new abilities, right? Many of those were carried forward into talents, but the problem is, they were themed around the Shadowlands, not around the actual classes. Or, I should say, they were, because 10.2.5 is actually reskinning this list of abilities to be way more harmonious with the classes that actually use them. And certainly just looking at them, yeah, this is great. It's a small change, but it is a very welcome one that finally makes these feel like true evergreen abilities rather than a past expansion holdover. Now, Blizz knows some people like the old versions. They say they'll do something in the future about that. I would imagine they'll probably just do a glyph. Right, it's been a while since Sylvanas and Varian hung out, yet we've got this new Sylvanas and Varian armor. Now, this stuff was data mined months ago for both characters. It's also older stuff. It's back when Sylvanas was wearing a bit less, and Varian was Logosh, a gladiator fighting for orcish entertainment. Well, 10.2.5 just added a quiver for Sylvanas that appears to match. And again, we've got no idea what is going on here, other than that these are the past appearances of these characters. Basically, who knows? It's kind of hard to see, though, how this could actually tie into the narrative of our next 3 patches, though Blizzard did say the Dragonflight has got a few more surprises, so maybe something will happen with those 2. I mean, hey, I'd take some Varian. Okay, some other developments then. The slow march of high-definition models continues, with human transport ships now being upgraded. These are but a few of the many HD assets that Blizzard have up their sleeve as they, I suppose, polish up bits of the world. Also, the data miners over at Wowhead have uncovered even more gear for the upcoming Azerothian Archives in-game event. This time it's like backpacks, chisels, guns. It's all that kind of old, I suppose, pulp comic explorer stuff, like what Indiana Jones was inspired by. Yeah, it all looks great. Kind of sucked the original coloration was only available via Recruit a Friend, so very nice to see. And as for this event, it does seem like they're trying a few different things with it. It seems to be based on Azerothian history, which I think is pretty damn cool. And while we are supposed to be able to test solo events within this, they don't appear to be on the PTR yet. And finally, for the future, a massive amount of new trading post items. Here's a cute duck that, because of its $9.99 placeholder cost, means it's almost certainly a monthly reward. There's some other neat looking pets, and there's also these over-the-shoulder cloaks that, yeah, really do look pretty damn awesome. Last week, Wowhead showed off some other things. Again, at $999 tender, we've got what appear to be 2 monthly rewards, the Love Witch's attire and the Majestic Azure Peafowl. The Peafowl looks awesome, and I suppose if you want some magical anime girl, like Sailor Moon and stuff, well, yeah, that witch outfit will absolutely be for you. There's also this very pink-looking fox that looks terrific. I really love how long its snout is, and these very fancy-looking face masks, along with some cool new weapons, parasol toys, and love crowns, so clearly Blizzard gearing up for Valentine's Day. And if you did catch a whiff of Trading Post drama, there's a little bit of that to come. Next then, turns out the tier quest wasn't quite finished, because this week you get a letter from Valune if you've completed the previous step, and this leads to you getting the Tyr's Guard tabard, which looks pretty great, and also a final conversation that sees Tyr unsure of his place in the world, and Travart saying that, well look, all of this happening points to a greater purpose, it's just one that we haven't found yet, and Tyr says he hopes that Travart is right. Again, the last thing that Tyr said is he had a lot to ponder. We see him again this week, and he's still pondering, maybe he's losing a little bit of hope, doesn't actually understand what his place in this new world is, he even points out hey, Travart, back when I was kicking around, humans didn't even exist. Now, yes, Tyr absolutely will have a purpose, and Tyr should really go and talk to Khadgar, because after Farak's death, Khadgar spoke of the Kirin Tor telling him that something is moving in the shadows, that an ancient enemy is stirring, incited by some harbinger whom Eridikron has had dark dealings with, which obviously means Xalatath and the Nerubians of Azj-Kahet. He also says that he's spoken with an old friend who's going to investigate, leaving us all wondering, who is that old friend and could it possibly be Medivh? Meanwhile then, Thrall and Jaina speak of starting to get the visions, the ones that later will become a lot more extreme and headachy that Anduin and Thrall experience in that cinematic. So no doubt then that I think both factions will have some form of storyline that's leading us into the next expansion. I mean, you've got Thrall and Jaina as characters who are experiencing these visions. Seems like if you want to have a bit of a vision-related storyline in the game, you maybe do it with those two characters. And hey, I suppose we'll probably discover a little bit of Tyr's purpose. Okay, in-game stuff. What about playing WoW? Well, LFR Wing 3 is open. It's actually pretty great. Wings 1, 2, and 3 have came out weekly though, but they have pulled a big old blizzard, and LFR Wing 4 will be available on the 12th of December. Now, with access to Agira, to Smolderon, to Laradar, and to Nimue, well, you can actually get 4 Tyr tokens, plus a few of those excellent, very rare items. I'm happy to say that, yes, even though it was in a normal mode re-clear, I do have the very rare healer trinket, so I'm a very happy boy. Now also, a new Revival Catalyst charge generated this week, and once 10.2.5 drops, which will likely be mid to early January, your charges will generate weekly. Then we've got Firalath, the legendary axe. That has got some better bad luck protection built in from the start, with there being 2 ways to obtain it. So, you can obtain it either via mythic group loot or personal loot from all other difficulties. Defeating Farak every week contributes to your bad luck protection. And then there's these items that you can loot from Farak and other bosses throughout the raid that will increase your chances. So, if you've noticed you're getting greater and lesser embers of Firalath, well, that's what those are. Essentially, the more of those you have, the better the drop rate will actually be. So overall, pretty neat and far better communicated than last time with Najero. And like Najero, there's actually a little quest line at the end. For that quest line, get ready for some very expensive crafting mats, but it ends with a fight against an echo of Farak and a pretty neat looking cutscene. Honestly, for like a way to do a legendary weapon, I think it's really cool. It does leave me thinking about the role of a legendary as an example if this was some quest that maybe more people could do in this patch to get a basic version of the legendary and then maybe upgrade it over time. I mean, I know that would kind of erode it being legendary, but maybe it could end up being a bunch of content for everybody who can wield that weapon. I'm not exactly sure. Tell me what you think. Anyway, in line with last week's changes, we've also found out that Zaralek and Forbidden Reach rares have got their drop rates increased, and in spite of it being a bug that made it show LFR gear, the weekly time walking quest does in fact drop normal mode Amir Drasil gear. And sticking with gear, if you want to get into the new PvP mode, but you don't want to be turned into a fine paste by PvP players, you'll need some gear. But the problem is, it's very hard to get that gear when you're of course busy being turned into a fine paste. And that's where I've got some good news for you this week, the Comp Stomp Brawl, where instead you'll be turning AI-controlled players into a fine paste. Future me here, turns out they've delayed this until the 12th. However, based on that, you should still plan, and here's what you should do for whenever Comp Stomp is in the game. Comp Stomp is basically an amazingly fast way to earn a shitload of honor, which of course, it will get you the honor gear that will get you started in the new Battleground Blitz Brawl, which is A, great way to earn conquest, and B, Blizzard's test for solo queue RBGs, which I think could be a massive winner. And also, it is your way to get that more like edgy PvP colored version of the Emerald Dream set that looks really nice. And speaking of the Dream, completing the Emerald Dream meta achievement now grants you the Of the Emerald Dream title. This is because a bug caused the intended reward, the Forest Lord's Antlers, to instead drop from the Treasure achievement, but they would rather just add a title to the meta rather than do some sort of rug pull for players. Okay, gameplay then. A small wave of class changes went out. Frost DKs, Resto Druids, Shadow Priests, and both Af and Destra Warlocks have been buffed, but more changes are expected this week, meaning Demon Hunters and Rogues, yeah, you guys have not escaped the nerf bat just yet. And it's future me here again because way more changes have dropped. So, Unholy, you've got 12 to 20% buffs to some of your core abilities. Havoc, you get a trio of 12% nerfs to Fel, Rush, and Barrage, as well as Immolation Aura. Resto, your cat form damage is down. Devo Evoker, you're getting 5% more damage to everything. Beast Mastery Hunters, well, you've got some core 30% nerfs to your 4-set, because it was a little bit crazy. Mistweaver Monks, you're getting you're getting nerfs, and your Manatee is now half as effective. Ouch. Windwalker, 6% nerf. Holy Paladins, you can finally rejoice because Crusader Strike and Hammer of Wrath have seen a massive mana cost reduction and a damage increase. As for me, well, Discipline has lost 3% of its damage and 3% of its healing, but Holy is getting 4% more healing, and for the rogues, you guys knew it was coming, Kingsbane and Blindside damage is down, while for the resto shamans, you guys are getting a bit more AoE damage. Mythic Plus has also seen some further tuning then. In Morazon's Rise, the timer has increased by a minute. Tyr has seen nerfs that will be more impactful in Tyrannical Week, so I think that'll make people happy. And the Time Lost Battlefield ranged ads have had their axes and arrows nerfed by 25%, and then they've changed the Chronolord's Novas to apply a 75% vulnerability rather than a 250% one. So yeah, you still don't want those to be going off together, but one mistake will no longer, I suppose, delete you all and brick your whole run. Everbloom time then. So the Melted Berserkers, those are the ones that leap about the place, have had their Whirl ability hit every 1.5 seconds instead of every second, and the Trio boss, they have had some nerfs, with the Discharge Puddles being easier to dodge and the charge damage down 25%. And over in Darkheart Thicket, a dungeon that I'm very nostalgic about from the Legion days, Crushing Grip no longer pierces immunities on the big tree boss. So, there you go. What else? Well, the WoW lo-fi mixes are now on streaming services. The race to World First is over, with Echo, Liquid, and Method clearing the raid in that order, and I will have some pretty damn cool stats for that in my upcoming Emir Drasil player statistics video that we're working on, and Blizzard have actually went and reverted some of their range check API changes. Basically, these were made so that add-ons and weak auras could not do range checks between players and other units while in combat. It's now been partially reverted so that enemy targets once again will be checkable by the range check API. However, the range checking between friendly targets will still be restricted. So overall, Blizzard probably just found that the friendly unit range checks just allowed for too much stuff to be automated, which, yeah, is fair. And also, your buddy Jeff has got another tab art for you this month. It's the tab art of the Fury that you can get from your Prime Gaming. How thrilling. And I suppose, speaking of loot, a little bit of trading post time. So, the monthly reward is this pet. Compared to getting a bunch of Titan and Sargeras-themed weaponry, I mean, call me heartless, but I just don't see the value in it. Okay, Evokers, Hunters, Mages, Shamans, you're getting your class stuff. We've got these two neat-looking pets and a fantastic-looking Fox mount, then plenty more simple transmogs. And very much of note for many people, the Scarlet Zealot's trappings, which comes with the chest, the cloak, and importantly, the shield that will go well with many transmogs, plus, of course, the Errant Crusader's helm. That, yeah, looks pretty sick, and there's a few other colorations of that also exist. They just aren't on the trading post right now. The weapons do look great this time, but come on, man, the Candied Blade for 600, that's a bit too much. And then we've got the whiff of drama, the Storm Riders Stormhammers, which, man, these look incredible. Looking at it, it's like, damn, I just want to tenderize a steak with that bad boy. But Blizzard, come on, this does kind of feel like you're selling part of a, you know, of a premium transmog set within the store. Is Blizzard kind of thinking like, oh, maybe people will buy the Stormhammers, and like, oh, gee, if only I had a mount and a transmog to go with my nice pair of hammers. That's probably what they want, let's be real. Then I want to say a massive thanks to our members at bellular.ghost.io. Month 1 went fantastic. We, of course, had Loading Screen, our daily newsletter, out. That's been brilliant to have going. We launched loads of videos across both our channels into early access, and with our third editor coming back from break really soon, I think we'll be even more ahead of schedule shortly. I'm thinking about big plans for Warcraft lore content, and just big picture, your support has meant a hell of a lot, and right now, we're cooking up more content, as well, more exclusive videos and behind the scenes stuff for, you know, peaks and that sort of thing over on Ghost, as well as some other plans that I will share in due course, as well, of course, as just a, you know, nice old Christmas slate of content for our members, which should be very fun to work on. So that's what's going on. Members, thank you for all of your support. And with that said, that is it for today's video. That is the WoW News. If you're doing Season of Discovery, go and have fun. And if you want to check out my trio, or my duo even, of War Within videos, I recommend checking them out. Basically a total recap of all of the lore, which dives, I mean, it's a Jarrett absolutely nailed the script. It dives in really deep, so if you want to know everything that there is to know about the setting, you can check that out. And if you want to know every single game feature and all the information that we found out from all of the interviews in a single, 20-minute long video, check that one out next as well. That's it for me. Have an awesome weekend, and of course, I'll be back next week with plenty of content.